What's going on, guys? You're watching Epic Pokemon TCG, and before we get into the video, guys, the list will be down in the description below if you just want to go check that out. But today we are going to be taking a look at Alakazam EX. This has a very cool concept behind it because this has the attack dimensional hand that can be used if Alakazam is sitting on the bench. That is a lot of fun, and with the current format, we have a lot of sweet Pokemon we can kind of just set up in the active spot to hide behind, while Alakazam just kind of hangs back, kicks up, and does this thing. But I just want to go ahead and note, also, Mind Jack can be a very solid attack. It can hit for a good amount of damage if your opponent has a full bench. If you want to go ahead and just promote Alakazam, about 98% of the time you're going to be doing Dimensional Hand, but you never know. This could be a good attack to just kind of finish a game off, so don't forget about Mind Jack just in case you need to do some quick damage. But yeah, overall, Alakazam out of the Pokemon 151 set, very cool concept. I'm a huge fan of this. I don't think this is the first time that we have seen this in the TCG. I believe there was something way back when that did something similar, but overall pretty cool. Along with that, Alakazam has some partners in here. We got Klefki with Mischievous Lock. Pretty much as long as hanging out in the active spot, your opponent doesn't have any basic Pokemon with abilities, which is nice. So that just shuts all that off. So it's going to shut stuff off like Comfey, Lumineon, things like that. Then we have Mimikyu with Safeguard. It just pretty much protects itself from Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. You will see that in the gameplay I'll show you here today. And then Spiritomb. This is more or less just going to be kind of hanging out on your bench, but it still is going to shut down your basic Pokemon V. So you can kind of have Spiritomb hanging out on the bench, Mimikyu up in the active, can't be attacked by Pokemon EX and V, and then this is just going to shut off Pokemon V in general. So overall, pretty cool concept. And then of course we have Manaphy here because we do want to protect our good old, where is that going? Our good old Alakazam from damage just in case. I was going backwards. And then we have Bibarel in here for some additional support. This is not my list, actually. This was just a pretty sweet list that I saw Andrew Mahome using on his live stream when I was at work. And so I figured, hey, I'm just going to go ahead, since I'm wanting to cover this deck, show some love to that guy because he is producing some amazing content. And I would showcase this list with you guys as well. So yeah, very simple concept. You just kind of send up some Pokemon that just, each of them have something very unique that they do in specific matchups. Like if you're facing off against Lost Box, obviously you're going to have a very Klefki heavy active position, kind of rotating things out. Pokemon that, or decks that have Pokemon EX and V mostly attacking, obviously Mimikyu, that is going to be something you're going to kind of have hanging out in the active spot. But overall, it's a very fun deck to play. I love the idea of just a Pokemon attacking on the bench, but I didn't even think of the deck itself necessarily because I was more or less thinking about live just being absolutely broken. But yeah, surprisingly, it has held up so far. But we're going to go ahead and cut to a gameplay that I'm going to warn you is absolutely just AIDS, because there is a face cam up in the corner that doesn't match the commentary because I forgot to turn it off. So yeah, I might cover that in editing. I don't know yet. All right, we are here on Pokemon TCG Live. I do want to apologize that I started this recording up just a smidge, just a smidge late. As you can see, my opponent's already had a turn. I've already had a turn. Things are already well in place. I was trying to get my editing software up, and I failed on that miserably. That is also why the face cam is up in the corner, because I forgot to switch to the one that does not have face cam. So there's just randomly going to be me checking up in the corner on the Packers Saints game that used to be exciting when it was Breeze and Rodgers. Now it's Carr and Love. So it's just like, ugh, now. But yeah, so Alakazam, this is a deck that I've actually been pretty excited to just kind of see. At first, I didn't really think about playing it necessarily, just because I was thinking more or less about how much it was going to break live, just because live will just randomly break. Like, you'll check your discard pile, and the game just stops working. So a Pokemon sitting on the bench to attack, I was like, God knows what's going to happen there. What this is going to break, how it's going to be broken, how long is Alakazam EX going to be banned for while they try to fix it. Lo and behold, they actually somehow coded it to where it would work right. I should probably talk about the matchup, huh? So I started with Klefki. I love starting with Klefki just because in other matches, not so much this one, Klefki is going to be pretty clutch. In this matchup, really the only thing that it's doing is stopping Zacian and Lumineon. My opponent did play down that Lumineon. And I'm not trying to roast them or nothing because I have done it too. I played down Luminion right after I've played Path of the Peak. I'm sure everyone has at one point played something down while Path is out and they can't do it. I mean, it just freaking happens to everybody. So I kind of start figuring out a game plan. I kind of had like a little idea that I was wanting to try in this matchup just because I wanted to see how do I play the Gardevoir matchup whenever I'm using Alakazam. And I think I got something that might work, but at the same time it might not. I don't know. I do pull a Fall Crystal, 3 of them out of my butt, so I'm able to actually attack this turn, which is nice. Because I'm pretty much going to completely nullify this Gardevoir here because they can't use the ability because they're going to damage it and knock it out. So if they do want to attack with it, then it's going to take 3 turns. And right here, I just opt for the Spiritomb because I'm figuring Klefki's going to get knocked out, and I figure at some point my opponent's going to use a Basics ability. I don't know yet. So it's going to go back to my opponent, and I'm looking at their field. And it's not really until after my opponent Ionos that I get this, like, for sure plan that I'm going for, that I'm going to see if it works. I'm just still cracking up at the fact that, like, they somehow made Alakazam work. Like, that doesn't break it. It doesn't crash the game. It doesn't fry your PC. But God forbid, man, you want to do some basic thing. But yeah, this whenever my opponent flipped over those Ralts, I was like, all right, we're opening up the editing software, or the recording software, excuse me. I think I said editing software earlier. You guys know what I mean. Jesus, it's gonna be one of those commentaries. But yeah, so I see Lost City. I see Boss's Orders. I see another Mimikyu. I'm thinking my Klefki's probably gonna get knocked out here, and then I can promote the Mimikyu. So the game plan's kind of coming together. I have an idea of what I want to try to do. And looking back, like, I don't know if this was the right play, but it just kind of worked out for me and what I was trying to do. And you'll even see me up in the corner. I don't like what I did, but it worked. So we see another Shining Arcana. Really, like, this stupid Gardevoir deck. It's kind of fallen off just because of the shift in the metagame, but I still hate playing against it. Not as much as Lost Box. I hate playing against that deck. Alright, so this is the turn where I'm kind of going with my gut and deciding, you know what? We're just going to do the strategy here because I have an idea. Dylan's got a plan. I'm thinking, okay, that Gardevoir is completely useless at this point, and we're going to refer to V or non-V and EX Pokemon as baby. So I'm looking, if I pick off this Cresselia, that's one less attacker that my opponent can use on me. If they charge up that Gardevoir back there, then that means that it's just going to be an easy KO for me. So I'm going to take this time to just knock out this Cresselia because my opponent can do some crazy crap with Cresselia, and I just want to get it off the board now. Yes, that does leave this Gardevoir, and that does leave that second Kirlia. I didn't like this play, but looking back on it now, it might have been the right way to go. I'm not sure. And I think really my opponent evolving into the second Gardevoir EX here in a moment was really what made me kind of feel like, okay, maybe I did make the right move. I don't know. There's definitely a lot of ins and outs, ideas, scenarios you can take with that Boss's Orders turn. But I just kind of took the opportunity to take a knockout, and I figured if they do evolve that Kirlia into another baby Gardevoir potentially, I don't know. I don't know if lists are playing 2 or 3 nowadays, but I just thought that that was the best route. So, that being said, we've covered the baby Pokemon. If I'm able to pick those off, I can just maybe sit behind a Mimikyu and kind of force my opponent to boss around the Mimikyu and get one-shots on Alakazam. That was the plan. If they can't get a one-shot on Alakazam, then that just kind of puts them behind a turn. While they're doing this, they're also going to be heavily damaging their Pokemon, so that's just going to mean cheap, easy prizes for me. If they bring up something, charge it up, and take a prize without bossing, that's just 1 opposed to my potential 2. So that was the idea that I had. I probably could have dumbed that down a little better, but I just wanted to give you the general breakdown of what I had in mind. So Klefki goes down here, and my opponent has 20 damage. I hit for 120. It's game plan time. So I promote the Mimikyu. I thankfully have a second one in hand. So from here, just bam. And then we're going to try to get this second Abra evolved into Alakazam. because I was like, I do not feel comfortable only having one Alakazam. I had played against a Gardevoir deck. It was actually the last tournament IRL that I played at before the health stuff started getting worse. My opponent bossed me back to back and knocked out VMAX Pokemon and won the game. Safe to say, I was like, nah, I'm good. I left that tournament. So I do go down to 4 prize cards. And now I'm going to see, can my idea work? Can I somehow figure out how to get this thing going? Because I'm looking at my opponent's field. I see EX, EX, and V. Obviously, they have 9 cards now in their hand. So really, it won't be too difficult potentially for them to bring up my Alakazam and knock me out. But if they play another supporter that turn, then that genuinely just gives me some sense of relief. But kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier with my opponent Iono's me, so I'm shaking, or I'm nodding there going, cool, I'm safe another turn. My opponent's back there manually attaching to that Gardevoir, so I don't really have to worry about that for another turn. And I see my roommate, no, I actually don't see my roommate. I turned my head, was watching football, I don't see my roommate behind me putting drinks in my fridge. I thought he was back there stealing drinks, but no, he was putting drinks in my fridge because he's a homie. So my opponent is attaching to this Zacian V here and is going to be retreating into this Gardevoir, and just, I think this is where the game takes a decent little turn in my favor. But yeah, so they spend their turn just trying to get an energy, but they end up not getting one. So now I'm able to go down to 3 prize cards. So right now I'm sitting pretty good. And here I don't need Klefki anymore. I don't need any Pokemon really, so I'm just going to take the energy to make sure I have it. And yeah, I mean, really in this match, I don't necessarily have to do too much. I don't have to play too much. I decided to read Mimikyu and thought, that could be fun. And I'm like, screw it. Let's just go ahead and take the knockout. I don't really have to do too much here. I don't want to Iono them. I don't want to give them extra cards. I don't want to do anything that might jeopardize how I have the field going. But my opponent has 9 cards in deck. I have 8 cards in deck, and they're just kind of spending their time manually attaching. But I think the game is coming to an end here. They boss up my Alakazam and are unable to get a knockout on it. And really, I think in this current metagame, Alakazam could do some cool things. You want to go heavy with the Klefki in the Lost Box matchup, because that'll really hinder them as they load up 6 energies on this Zacian, 7 energy, Jesus. And yeah, it just really depends on what deck you're facing off against. But my opponent does concede here in just a second, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to see some more deck profiles, please do let me know. Thank you guys all so much again. Take care. Love you guys. And this is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out. Take care, guys.